King Brahmadatta knelt before the wise monk and asked, "Can you explain the meanings of my 16 dreams?" "Certainly," said the monk. "Tell me the first 8. The king began. These were the first 8 dreams. 1. Bulls roaring but not fighting. 2. Tiny trees bearing fruit. 3. Cows drinking milk from calves. 4. Calves pulling carts while bulls follow. 5. A horse eating with 2 mouths. 6. A jackal urinating in a golden bowl. 7. A she-jackal eating a rope. 8. One overflowing pot while the others are empty." The monk asked, "Tell me more about your first dream." The king explained, "I saw 4 black bulls from 4 directions in the palace courtyard. They came to fight, and people gathered to watch, but instead of fighting, the bulls just roared and then left." The monk said, "This dream predicts something far in the future, beyond our lifetimes. In that distant time, kings will be selfish, and people will lose their goodness. The weather will become unpredictable, with heat waves in winter and snow in summer. There will be droughts, poor harvests, and hunger. Dark clouds will gather but won't bring rain, just like the bulls that roared but didn't fight. But don't worry, this won't happen in our time. The priests might say you need to offer sacrifices, but that's just their way of earning money. Now, tell me your second dream." The king continued, "In my second dream, tiny trees grew only a foot tall, yet they flowered and bore fruit." The monk replied, "This dream also points to the distant future. The earth will become less fertile, and human lives will be short. Even young girls will bear children, just like those tiny trees bearing fruit early. But again, this is far off in the future." "What was your third dream, king?" The king shuddered as he spoke. "I saw cows drinking milk from their own calves, born on the same day." The monk reassured him, "This dream speaks of a time when people will no longer respect their elders. They will take over their parents' savings and may or may not care for them. The elderly will be at the mercy of their children, just like the cows relying on their calves for milk. But this is not happening now, so don't be afraid. Tell me your fourth dream." The king felt a bit relieved and said, "I dreamed of big, strong bulls following behind carts that were being pulled by weak, clumsy calves. The calves couldn't move the carts, and the caravans were stuck." The monk explained, "In the future, inexperienced and foolish judges will be given important positions by selfish kings. They won't be able to make wise decisions, just like the calves that couldn't pull the carts. The older, wiser judges will offer no help, thinking it's not their problem, just like the strong bulls trailing behind. But you have nothing to fear from these future times." "What was your fifth dream?" The king hesitated. "In my fifth dream, I saw a horse with 2 mouths, one on each side of its head, eating greedily." The monk said, "This will happen when corrupt judges take bribes from both sides in the same case, caring nothing about justice, just like the horse eating with 2 mouths. Now, tell me your sixth dream." The king grimaced as he spoke. "I saw a golden plate, worth a fortune, and people were coaxing an old jackal to urinate in it. And that's what he did." The monk replied, "In the future, kings will come from outside the ruling families and won't trust the experienced ministers. They'll replace them with lower-class ministers who are easier to control. The old noble families will then try to marry off their daughters to these new ministers, just like a golden plate being soiled by a jackal. But this won't happen in your time." "What was your seventh dream?" The king continued, "I saw a man making a rope, letting it pile up under his chair. A hungry female jackal was eating the rope as it fell, but the man didn't notice." The monk said, "In the future, women's desires will increase. They will crave men, luxury, and possessions, neglecting their families and wasting their husbands' earnings, just like the jackal devouring the rope as it's made. But this is not happening now, O king. Tell me about your eighth dream." The king said, "I saw one large pot full of water and many small empty pots in front of the palace gate. People were pouring water only into the large pot, which overflowed, while the small pots remained empty." The monk explained, "In the future, the land will be less fertile, and wealth will be scarce. The rich and powerful will take everything from the poor, leaving them with nothing, just like the large pot overflowing while the small pots stay empty. So now, you know the meanings of your first 8 dreams. They foretell 1. Thunderclouds with no rain. 2. Young girls having babies. 3. The elderly at the mercy of their children. 4. Young, foolish judges with no help from the wise. 5. Greedy judges taking bribes from both sides. 6. Low-class ministers with high-class wives. 7. Wives wasting their husbands' earnings. 8. The rich taking everything from the poor. Rest assured, these things will not happen in our time, so there is no need to fear.